In this video, I rank 33 of what I think is the most useful functions in Excel in the tier list. That means I'm gonna rank them from most useful to least useful, at least out of these 33 functions. My name is Casper and I'm co-founder and instructor at spreadsheeto.com, where I teach people Excel. Also, I do Excel consulting and I've been doing so for a long time. So I know what I'm talking about, but this is obviously my opinion on these 33 functions. We're gonna start this off with SUMIF and SUMIFs, and we're gonna end it all with XLOOKUP. Let's get into it. Okay, so SUMIF and SUMIFs. SUMIF is great, it's awesome. Summing stuff up, adding stuff together in Excel is probably what everyone does, or most people do the most. So I'm gonna put this very high. It's close to getting up here, but there are other ways of doing so, with a pivot table, for example. So I don't think it deserves the spot up here. I'm not gonna put out so early. So let's give it an H here. It's really good. COUNTIFs, I'm inclined to give it the same rank here, because they are kind of the same, right? So summing stuff, adding stuff together, and counting stuff, they are both actions that are done all the time in Excel. So maybe they deserve the spot here. Maybe the SUMIF or SUMIFs, they're A+. COUNTIF is an A-. I don't know. That's kind of it's a hard one, because counting stuff is not something you do as much as adding stuff together. A-. I'm gonna put it up here. MAXIFs and MINIFs. Well, those are great formulas, but they do not see a lot of use. In my opinion, I don't use them a lot. Adding these conditions to max and min is not really something I need a lot. So I'm gonna put it here in C tier. They're not that important. I don't think my work in Excel would change very much if I didn't have those two functions. So that's why they're not useless, obviously, but not good enough to deserve a higher spot on the list here. But talking of deserving a higher spot on the list, we have index match, the king of lookups. Well, in my opinion, this is not really a hard choice. This is obviously super tier. It's so flexible, it's fast, even faster than VLOOKUP. It's really good. It's too good to not be super tier. It's basically God mode. It's so flexible, so robust. Obviously, it deserves the spot. SUMPRODUCT, on the other hand, is probably a function that some people think is like God tier. And it has been for several years, but it's kind of a long time ago now. It could do anything in Excel, a lot of things. So it maybe some years ago it deserved a super tier spot, but it doesn't now, in my opinion. It's not useful enough. I don't see it used in the real world enough to justify a high ranking here. So I'm gonna put it in B tier, simply because what it actually does, the main purpose of the function to count weighted averages and stuff like that, it's nice. I use that from time to time, but because of its legacy, I'm gonna give it a B tier instead of a C tier. So the sum function, I don't know if it actually deserves a high spot here, because it just adds stuff up, and you could do that like without it as well. But at the same time, this is the most used function in Excel, and it's the sum function, right? Kind of like the foundation for everything in Excel. So I'm gonna give it a B tier, probably because I'm getting a little emotional here, but we're gonna give it a B tier. So average if, that's not something I use very much. I'm not sure if I ever have used this function in a real world scenario. So I'm gonna put it in a D tier. Obviously, if you have this specific scenario where you need to find the average given a set of criteria, well, then it's useful. But how often do you actually need that? I don't reckon very often, at least not for me. So I'm gonna put it there. Now the filter function is a part of the dynamic arrays that were recently released in Excel. It's a good function, really good function. So it's gonna rank high here, but I'm not sure, for me at least, it's super tier. I understand if some of you guys think it is. because it's really good. It's a filter on a stick. It's a filter in a formula instead of the actual filter. That's really useful. Can automate a lot of stuff. It's insane for drop downs, obviously. But I'm gonna put it here in A tier. It's really, really good. But I did manage to live without it for a long time. So it's not super tier. Unique, one of the dynamic arrays as well, it goes very well with the filter function. So that's a plus. It also has some uses on its own, but not very many. So I'm gonna put it here in C tier. It's too niche. Nah, B tier, sorry. All right, so the rand function. All right. I use it a lot actually. I use that and rand between because I generate a lot of dummy data for teaching and stuff. But if you don't do that, which most people don't, then it's not that useful. It's hard to randomize stuff without it though. But you could just do a bunch of numbers or find an online tool somewhere and just copy paste it into Excel. So I'm gonna put it in it's a C tier for me, but for other people, I'm guessing it might be a D tier. Let me know in the comment section if you think I'm wrong, okay? About any of these functions. I'm sure you disagree on some of them, but please let me know what you think. And especially about this rand function here. Am I being stupid? Should it be higher? Let me know. Also, while you're at it, if you like this so far, give this video a like, please. And remember to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. So the sort function is kind of like the unique and filter function. It's a dynamic array function, so it's quite useful. And it's new, but I'm gonna say still, I've done a lot of stuff without it, and it's not really very useful on its own. Obviously for drop downs and stuff like that, it's very cool, but in my opinion, it's kind of the same as the unique function. So I'm gonna put it here in B tier. If error, oh, I use that a lot. If error is a formula you can wrap around other formulas, and when the other formulas return an error, you can tell if error what should happen. Like if you want to write your own error message right there on the screen, or hide any errors with like blank or zeros or something like that. Or you can do the double lookups, like if you wrap it around a VLOOKUP, for example, and VLOOKUP doesn't find what it's looking for, but you know that it might find it in another data set, then you don't need to create two separate VLOOKUPs. You can do it in the same formula with if error. That's pretty cool. It's not amazing. It's not insanely good, but it's pretty cool. I'm gonna give it a straight up B. Now is text. That's a niche function. In my opinion, it is. But it's nice. But it's niche. Niche. Okay, that's dumb. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot of B tiers here. A lot. Maybe too many. I'm gonna have to be more harsh here. Otherwise, everything's gonna land in B tier if they're just not as good as A or a super tier. So I'm gonna put that here. And some of you are gonna hate me for it. And that's okay. Let me know in the comment section if you do. Date diff, that's great. That's just great. It's super easy to use, but it's not that unique. You can do a lot of the stuff pretty easily with simply just subtracting dates. So I'm gonna put it here in C tier. I like it a lot, but you can do just fine without it for a lot of stuff, for a lot of things. Day, month, year, those are pretty neat. You need those for some things that is where it's actually going to be quite difficult to do without it, like finding these things, or at least basically they have very flexible functions. So I'm going to put it in B tier and see what happens here. Text join, that's pretty great. It's great. Hey, we have concatenate and concat next. Okay. I don't know if I remember the difference between text join and concat. I don't know. I know it. I've used both of them separately, but I don't know if I remember the exact difference right now. Well, obviously these are great, but the classic ampersand is just so good. I use that mostly. Text join is pretty great. I don't use concatenate anymore, so I'm gonna put that on D tier simply because it's kind of outdated now. I'm gonna put concat and text join in C tier. They're good. They're definitely good, but for most cell and text content joining purposes, the ampersand will do just fine. So if the ampersand were here, I would put it way higher, but I think this is what they'll get. They don't deserve more, but they are still useful, very useful, obviously. As with any other functions here on the C tier, the date def, yeah, they're useful stuff. Did I misplace these maxif minif? Is this too high? Let me know. Let me know. I'm really interested in knowing actually if you guys are using maxifs and minifs a lot in the real world, because I'm not. Okay, len, that's a great function. That's a very useful function for a lot of scenarios. And we're gonna put that right next to date, day, month, year. They don't necessarily go together, but you need to count characters in a string. You just need to do that way more than you think you do. When you, at least when you're manipulating text and retrieving stuff. Yeah, it's a good function. I'm gonna put it there. Index, no. In my opinion, index is almost only good for index match. I really rarely use this function, so I'm gonna put it on D tier. If I think we have another, I should have a bell somewhere. Ding, ding, ding. Like, if function it's the if function. Come on. It deserves a spot up here. Oh, it really deserves a spot up here in super tier. It's this God mode function. Match. Well, you can do anything. No, obviously you can't, but you can do a lot of things with the if function. And in my opinion, nothing has really replaced it. Obviously VBA program and stuff like that, but then you use if statements. So this is logic in Excel. There's nothing to, there's no more to say, no more really to say about that. It's really freaking important. It's the backbone of Excel. So it's gonna be super tier. Match, on the other hand, is definitely not super tier, but it is really good. I use it a lot because it's like the quick lookup. Like, I don't want to know what's there. I just want to know if it's there and where it is, maybe. But mostly, is it there or is it not? Is this number in that list over there? And if it is, then a number comes back and I can just say, and I can use that for a lot of stuff and say, hey, it's there. And I can filter on it and stuff like that. Really easy, really quick. And if it's not there, I'll get an error back. I think it's good. It's not A tier though. It's gonna be B here in B tier. Oh, that rhymes. It must be true then. Okay, offset. Well, while this is something that is very useful in VBA programming, depending on which skill level you're on, but for a lot of users, it's really important. But as a worksheet function here, it's not very important. To be honest, I think I've used it once or twice in my life. That's not much. Maybe it's my loss that I haven't used it more. Yeah, let me know what you think. I'm gonna put it here in D tier, and I hope you don't kill me. Is number basically is like is text, so I'm gonna put it right next to it. Useful in some scenarios. It's kind of nice for what it does, but it's not something that you use a lot. Also, please reckon that C tier is not a useless tier at all. It's a good tier. It's just not as good as super tier, A tier, or B tier. Okay, so ifs. Well, the easy choice would just be to put it up here, but that's definitely not gonna happen. Because it has a more narrow focus. You can't use it for as many things. So basically, most people use it just as an easier way of using the if function. It's easier to understand, easier to write for specific scenarios if you have certain multiple criteria. But the if function is so flexible, so it'll end up here, in my opinion. B tier is good, but it's not that good. And or though, wow, well, those are great. But still, nested ifs, you can do almost anything with that. You don't really need and or. Obviously you do for some things, but A tier, it can't be A tier. That's too much. That's too much, man. B tier, it is. Actually, I see now that I have the if error here on twice. So that's not so good. I'm gonna put it right here next to the other if error, and you decide which one you like the best. So really it's top 32 functions. Shh, don't tell anyone. Left, mid, and right and search. So now we're all into text. Manipulating text, okay. This is good stuff. I wish I made like one cell with it, like the day, month, and year, because if I did that, they might go in the A tier. But individually, they're not that good. Maybe they are. I use these functions a lot to extract something. When I build systems, there's always some things that needs to be extracted from a cell. Okay, so they're definitely not gonna rank the same because the mid function is very useful in my opinion, much more than the others. Basically because it can also do what the others can do. So the left function, I'm gonna put it here in C tier. Yep. The mid function, I'm gonna put it up here in A tier because I use it a lot. I need to extract something from a cell often, very often actually. And the best function, at least of these, is the mid function. It's very flexible, can use it for anything, almost. Not anything, but extracting data from a cell wise. And it's very good with the search, but I should stick to the order that I put this in. So right is very bad. It's very situational. It's basically only used for extracting last names, but not really because I use the mid function for that anyways. So I'm gonna put it here in D tier. Boo freaking who. Search, that's good. I don't know if it's good. Well, you can write find here as well, but it's basically the same. Basically. It's not A tier, it's B tier. So basically we have one big tier of indecisive Casper. Didn't have the balls to put more stuff up in super tier and A tier or below. So B tier is kind of like, kind of like a B plus, right? A lot of people, it's not that difficult to get, but still, it's good. It's good, really good. It's good grade. Don't get disappointed of a B, at least not here. So we have two left. Wow, these are, I've been excited for those. Been looking forward to those. VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP. It's a battle of the titans. So who should win? What do you think? Okay. So disregard XLOOKUP for now. Let's just place VLOOKUP. It's simply not as good as index match. Because the only thing, basically, it does better is that it's easier to use. And that's not an argument that can win a fight compared to what index match has to offer. So I'm gonna put it in A tier. It's a legendary function, obviously, and it's super awesome. Even though I have better options, I still use VLOOKUP from time to time because it's so easy to use. And my clients know how to use it. And it's backwards compatible with any version of Excel at this point. So that's a big thing as well. Obviously index match is that too, but not everyone understands index match. And it's not as easy as to remember, but it still wins. So this is how I'm gonna put these. XLOOKUP, well, feature-wise, it's better. It's basically better than both VLOOKUP and index match. And at the same time, it's easier to use. So if you look at those parameters, it wins straight up. But you're gonna run into some issues if your versions, if you deal with people that does not have the same version of Excel that you do right now. In 5 years, that probably won't be a problem, but right now, it still is a problem. But it's not big enough problem that I'm not gonna put it up here. It deserves a spot, right? Let's give it up for XLOOKUP. It's amazing. It should be up there, obviously. VLOOKUP, I know, I'm sorry, bro. I want to help you out, but you're going into the A tier. That's something to be proud of as well. So to wrap this up, let me just rearrange these things because I don't think this is fair. I think index match is right now is superior to XLOOKUP simply because it works on any Excel version. And that's important right now. In 5 years, it may not be, because XLOOKUP will work in almost any version as well at that point, because no one will have versions from 2016 or 13. But the if function, in my opinion, is the best function of all these 33/32 functions here. It's better, it's more useful than both index match and XLOOKUP. So this is how I'm gonna rank that. These are not necessarily how individually in these tiers that I would rank these, but just for the super tier, I wanted to do that just to state that I think the if function is the king of all functions in Excel. And obviously if also includes multiple instances of using if, so nested ifs. Pretty cool, huh? If you want to see me rank more stuff in Excel, please leave a comment below and let me know what that could be. Also, if you want to learn more about some of these functions, you can do so from my free online Excel training. Go to spreadsheeto.com/YouTube to learn more about that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. That was a good one.